sentence of 25 years to be served on top of the sentence he's currently serving for drug possession.
I think he spent 2 years, 3 years, and he died in custody. This case had the potential to be solved, obviously, because I was able to solve it. That doesn't mean that other investigators couldn't solve this. They could. The reason it was solved was timing, Cedra's determination to call the homicide unit, my availability to dive into the case. Because right after this case, genetic genealogy became a very big issue in the sheriff's department, and we changed our focus to the cold cases which had genetic genealogy potential. This one didn't. So this one would have been not pushed aside, but lowered on a priority because it wasn't a genetic genealogy case. So Cedar's right. God reached down and said, let's solve this one.
Due to the tireless work of Detective Dugal and the DNA evidence found in the glove that investigators preserved for over 3 decades, Cyrus Jefferson's family finally has justice.
I want the families of victims who have cold cases to understand that there is a potential for solving the case in the future. I've solved many, and after that, I've solved 5 more. So that's very rewarding for all those people who had gotten no closure for many years, and now the case comes to fruition and they find somebody, or we know who the suspect is. Sometimes in cold case, your suspect is deceased. That happens. It's happened to a couple of those 5 I solved. And sometimes they're still alive and doing well. And you would never guess that they committed a murder 20 or 30 years ago.
Powerful stories of determined detectives, almost unsolved. Next.
In a quiet, well-to-do suburban neighborhood, a family is found dead.
This is not the kind of place where murders happen.
Neighbors have noticed lights burning day and night in the 3-story Victorian mansion for the past month, but there's no sign anyone is home.
The man responsible for the mass murder would elude law enforcement officials for almost 18 years.
Meticulously laid plans allow him to successfully make his escape.
But the boogeyman of Westfield would eventually be discovered.
The unsolved ones, we have to stand up
and approach these cases in a way outside the box.
Let the world know there's those out there that did commit a murder, and there are people that are coming after you.
There's just a lot of good people trying to do the right thing.
Because it's something that you have to be passionate about.
Solve this. Bring some peace to the family, at least. Just doing my job.
At 10:10 p.m. on the night of Wednesday, December 7th, 1971, police in Westfield, New Jersey, receive a call from a woman on Hillside Avenue.
She hasn't seen any members of the family or any activity at the house for a few weeks.
The bodies of Helen List, aged 46, and her 3 children, Patricia, 16, Frederick, 13, and John, 15, are discovered by police, laid out on sleeping bags in the ballroom at the back of the main floor in the 3-story house.
Helen is wearing a dressing gown. All 3 kids are wearing coats. They've all been shot dead.
Oddly, religious music is playing over the house intercom system.
A 5th body is found in the hallway of the 3rd floor. Alma List, John's 85-year-old mother, resides in living quarters on the top floor of the house.
She is shot in the bedroom. Her knees break as she falls to the floor before she's dragged to the hallway on a carpet runner.
2 slices of bread in the toaster of her kitchenette lead police to speculate her murder may have taken place in the morning.
Lights are blazing throughout the 19-room mansion on this dark and rainy night as investigators comb the house looking for clues as to how this tragedy came to be. One person missing from the scene is John Emil List, the family's 46-year-old father. In a filing cabinet, police find 2 guns and a 5-page letter, handwritten on yellow-lined paper. It's addressed to the pastor of the Lutheran church the family belongs to.
The letter to Reverend Rowinkel is confessional. It leaves no doubt to the fact that it's List's family laying on the floor in the ballroom. It's dated November 9th, 1 month ago.
The family's blue 4-door Chevrolet is missing from the house. A 50-state alarm is issued, citing John Emil List as wanted for mass murder. It goes to every FBI field office, every post office, and to other law enforcement agencies across the country. The investigation begins. Police interview relatives, friends, teachers, and neighbors.
A portrait emerges of a family that has remained aloof from neighbors during the 5 years they have lived in the big white house with green shutters.
John List was known to get irritable around small children and dogs. One neighbor recalls taking a pie to the house as a welcome gesture when the family moved in, only to be told by John, "We are not a friendly people, and we do not like to get involved with neighbors socially." John List. But a physician who lives next door to the Lists thinks the family seemed normal in a neighborhood where executives can move in and out without making friends.
He recalls List playing baseball with the boys in the backyard and driving them to Little League games. To the neighbors, Helen List is the most mysterious member of the family. Someone who's rarely, if ever, seen outside. Someone who's been deemed an extreme recluse.
The neighbor across the street tells police that she hasn't seen Helen since the family moved in 5 years earlier.
While the Lists' neighbors may have varying views about the family, they would likely all agree on one thing: nobody really knew them very well. The List children are popular and active in youth groups. 16-year-old Patricia attends Westfield High School, where she's a keen participant in drama productions and has had starring roles in school plays.
But Pat, as she's known to her friends, is frequently absent from school. They've heard it's because her mother wants her to cook at home.
They'd hear stories about Helen, but never from Patricia herself, who would become silent when asked about her parents.
Her brothers, Frederick and John, attend Roosevelt Junior High. It's across the street from Redeemer Lutheran Church, the church the family goes to.
The church is the center of their social lives. John List taught Sunday school there.
The List family moves to Westfield from Rochester, New York, in 1965. John has plans to restore the historic home that features marble fireplaces and a Tiffany skylight.
The mansion's ballroom held chamber concerts, and in recent years, an art gallery.
But once the Lists occupy the house, the ballroom is virtually empty. In fact, the whole house is sparsely furnished.
John List, an accountant by profession, was riding the crest of an economic wave when he purchased the $90,000 house in 1965.
It's an affluent neighborhood, home to executives and professionals.
At the time, he was the vice president of the First National Bank of New Jersey, on an equal footing professionally with other homeowners in the neighborhood.
The First Federal Savings and Loan Association of Westfield gives him a substantial mortgage, feeling he can handle it.
List moves up the executive ladder, taking a position a short time later with the American Photographic Corporation of New York City.
He's making $23,500 a year. That's equivalent to $160,000 today.
But things begin to take a downturn for him. The economy takes a nosedive, and Helen has a nervous breakdown that requires expensive treatment at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York City.
List finds he needs a second and then a third mortgage on the house to put food on the table and keep up with all the bills. Dreams of restoring the house are long gone.
List changes jobs again, going to work in January of 1971 for the State Mutual Life Insurance Company of America, but his salary is half of what he was making previously.
His mother, Alma, has $200,000 in savings. He begins skimming money from her bank account to cover his 3 mortgages.
$200,000 is a lot of money in 1971, close to $1.5 million today. Despite all that money, she may not have even known about the situation.
Desperate to save face about their financial difficulties, List keeps the grim reality of their circumstances from everyone, including his family.
The principles of self-reliance and the Protestant work ethic he learned growing up in a strict religious home forbid him from showing any signs of weakness or failure.
You could argue his psychology was reflective of the time. Rigid gender roles in post-war America called for the man to be the protector and provider for the family.
By November of 1971, List is an independent agent for the insurance company he had begun working for in January. As such, it would be up to him to go out and find clients.
But he's been staying at the train station during the day, reading the papers, napping, letting his family think he's at work.
His desperate plan to resolve the financial straitjacket he's in is revealed in the letter he left for Eugene Raywinkle. In it, List explains how he feels it would be better to send his family to heaven than to see them face the social disgrace of bankruptcy or having to go on welfare.
The letter details other reasons that have contributed to his decision to murder his family. He believes they were slipping away from their Christian roots.
He's worried about Patricia's growing interest in becoming an actress, a profession he considers immoral. And Helen had stopped going to church some time ago.
His thinking is that by killing them now, he will send them to heaven and save them from making further mistakes and possibly going to hell.
5 days before he shoots them, ironically, he asks his family what they think should be done with their bodies after they die.
This would indicate the murders were premeditated, that John List was planning them. He didn't just lose it the day he shot each member of his family.
The 2 guns used in the murders are a 9mm from 1918 and a .22 caliber Colt revolver.
He bought new ammunition and went to a range to practice.
Helen, Patricia, and Frederick are each shot once in the head. John, the eldest son, suffers 10 gunshot wounds to the head and chest, either as a result of struggling or trying to escape.
On Friday, December 10th, 2 days after the discovery of the bodies in their dilapidated mansion, the family car is found 40 miles away in the parking lot of John F. Kennedy International Airport in Queens, New York.
It had been ticketed on November 10th, 1 month earlier.
Police now know when List fled, but figuring out where he has gone from one of America's busiest airports seems like an insurmountable task.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on getting you the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. But don't worry, we've got a lot more than that going for us. Woo! Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want with space-age metal housing, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have flip phones like the Iris Flip. If you're someone that doesn't need all that mumbo-jumbo and just wants something simple. And now, we even have watches.
We do.
No matter what device you choose, you'll be happy to know that if your data needs change,
No problem.
with our SmartFlex feature, you don't have to sweat it. Like say you're on a road trip out west and end up using a bunch of data. We can simply flex you up to the next data tier for as little as $5. Then, when you get home, you can flex right back down with no penalty. So you only pay for what you actually need.
With Consumer Cellular, you get the exact same nationwide coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost.
I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Will our award-winning customer service help me switch over or add a line for $15 to make my own family plan?
Of course they will.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
See that tower out there? It's a beauty. And there are thousands more like it, working hard for me and you, supplying 5G coverage to this beautiful nation of ours. We know how important coverage is. That's why we offer a risk-free guarantee. If you're not satisfied within 30 days of activation, you can pay nothing. Oh, look.
New customers who buy any phone get 2 months of service free when they sign up by July 31st. Call 800-311-5340 or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
They're called Shynasty hammock underwear. Soft, sweat-wicking, breathable underwear with a supportive pouch built in. You don't realize you need new underwear until you try these. Love your first pair or they're free. Upgrade to hammock underwear at shynasty.com.
He was only 47. Aneurysm.
Did he have life insurance?
Do you?
No. You gotta get on it. Check out SelectQuote. Trust me, the peace of mind is worth it.
Life insurance is too important to put off another day. That's why SelectQuote makes getting coverage you need easy for less than $1 a day. Now get up to a $2 million policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage.
Visit SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save.
Dogs are expensive. My number one pet parent hack, Spot Pet Insurance.
Spot made it so painless and easy for me. They reimbursed me $2,700.
I'm here to tell you, consider getting pet insurance.
I tried a bunch of different probiotics before seed.
And they didn't help. It addressed my bloating and my irregularity.
It's really helping my daily bowel movements and keeping me pretty regular. I started feeling better and less bloated, felt flatter, lighter. I just keep going back to seed because it actually works.
Now I walk around smiling every day because I don't get bloated anymore.
I love that these dresses have shapewear built in. When I put on Populush, I just feel like me. No matter what size I am, I know I'm gonna feel lush. Live lush. Populush.
How long have you been tracking the value of our car? Should we sell it?
We hold.
Our low mileage is paying off. You think we should?
Already sold to Carvana. Go to Carvana and track your car's value today.
Litter Robot has now solved the litter box problem for over 1 million pet parents around the world. Hi, I'm Brad Baxter, founder of Whisker and Litter Robot. 25 years ago, I inherited 2 cats and an overflowing litter box. I have a background in engineering, so I was thinking of ways I could automate the litter box process. The result was Litter Robot, a fully automatic, self-cleaning litter box. You'll never scoop again, and your cat will always have a clean bed of litter. Join the Whisker family and try Litter Robot today.
On the night of December 7th, 1971, acting on a tip from neighbors, police enter a residence on Hillside Avenue in Westview, New Jersey.
They discovered the decomposing bodies of 4 people who have been dead for approximately 1 month.
And on the 3rd floor, a 5th body is also found. A letter left behind by the father of the family, John Emil List. explains why he killed his wife, mother, and 3 teenage children. A religious man, he addresses the confessional note, the pastor of the Lutheran church, where he teaches Sunday school.
With the juxtaposition of List's strange moral convictions and the murder of his family, the police have a deeply perplexing case on their hands.
Two days later, on December 10th, John List's car is found in the parking lot at John F. Kennedy Airport in New York. It had been ticketed on November 10th, the day after the murders. This was in the days before airlines had computers to keep track of flights and reservations. Everything was done on paper.
The prospect of finding John List's name amongst the thousands of people who would have been departing JFK that day seems like an impossibility.
The only way to check would be to check every passenger who left the airport over a 2-day period. Thousands. That's unfeasible. Police Chief James Moran. While List's trail may have gone cold at the airport, the police investigation into the murders is anything but.
They're checking public records, financials, employment history, interviewing anyone with information that can help them understand what could have led to the familicide.
Details emerge about List's movements that begin to reveal a cleverly constructed plan to explain the family's absence.
On November 9th, the day of the murders, he stops the family's milk delivery and tells his postman, James Parsons, to stop delivering mail.
He notifies the children's schools that the family will be away on a holiday for a few weeks. List makes a call to Patricia's drama teacher, Mrs. Barbara Sheridan, telling her he's just put his wife and 3 children on a plane to North Carolina to visit his sick mother-in-law there, and that Patricia will miss the rehearsal in 2 days' time.
Police believe she's the last person John List spoke to.
Patricia's high school sends a social worker to check on things after she's been absent for 2 weeks. There's no answer at the house.
Her drama workshop teacher, David Iliano, who's close to her, was expecting a postcard from her, knowing she was going to North Carolina.
When he doesn't receive any word from her for 2 or 3 weeks, he encourages the neighbors to contact the police.
On Saturday, December 11th, Reverend Waywinkle conducts a funeral service for Helen and the 3 children. 350 people attend the service at Redeemer Lutheran Church.
An FBI agent and police observe the crowd at the service and later at the graveside.
The 4 simple metal coffins are taken to Westfield's Fairview Cemetery to be buried side by side in a plot purchased by the church. While Alma's body is returned to her home in Michigan. The day following the funeral, Eugene Raywinkle makes a public plea to List, asking John to contact him. John, as your pastor, I am still very much your friend, who will always support you and stand by you and help you. Please contact me. Reverend Eugene Raywinkle.
List has a stepdaughter living in Kalamazoo, Brenda DeYoung, Helen's stepdaughter from her first marriage. She also begs John to get in contact with her.
Neither Raywinkle or Brenda hear from him. A week after the bodies are found, List is indicted on murder charges by a Union County grand jury.
The house on Hillside Avenue quickly becomes an item of morbid fascination. People drive by and stop to look. Children sneak in, hunting for souvenirs.
A police officer is stationed at the house to turn away curious onlookers. The property is roped off and a police barricade is erected along the 200-foot frontage.
John Emil List was born in 1925 into a German Lutheran family that had settled in Frankenmuth, Michigan in the late 1880s. He is the only child of Alma and John Frederick List.
His mother is domineering and overprotective of her son. John is indoctrinated with the principles of his parents' faith from a young age.
In 1943, just before he turns 18, he joins the Army for the duration of World War II and serves as a second lieutenant.
Afterwards, he earns a bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's in accounting from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor.
List meets Helen Morris Taylor, a widow who has recently lost her husband in the war and who has a young daughter named Brenda.
John is serving in the Korean War when he and Helen marry on December 1st, 1951.
When the war ends, 2 years later, John goes to work as an executive accountant. He and Helen start a family.
But the marriage isn't a happy one. Helen drinks and appears overwhelmed by the responsibility of caring for 3 young children.
There's a secret behind Helen's increasingly erratic behavior. In 1947, she contracted syphilis from her first husband. She never tells John.
Helen is hospitalized in Walter Reed Hospital for 6 months during 1947 and 1948. Doctors inject her with malaria, an accepted military treatment for syphilis.
The idea was that malaria would kill the syphilis spirochete. It didn't. The malaria ran its course, but the syphilis spread throughout her body.
Although it becomes dormant and Helen is no longer contagious, it can still damage her internal organs. Eventually, it would affect her brain. List has no idea of Helen's medical condition when he marries her in 1951, or her reason for insisting they marry in Baltimore.
It's a deliberate ploy on her part. Most states at the time required a premarital syphilis test. Maryland didn't.
She manages to keep her condition a secret for 22 years until 1969, when doctors finally discovered the reason behind her deteriorating health.
By the time the family moves to Westfield in 1965, her syphilis is in the tertiary stage, and she's blind in her right eye.
By the time syphilis reaches its third and final stage, which can take 10 to 30 years, it will be affecting multiple organs, including the brain. It can cause dementia, paralysis, and even death.
It's little wonder that the neighbors never saw her or that she never attended church with John.
But in fact, Helen had never shared John's devotion to the church. His mother, Alma, had always considered her an unfit wife for her son.
There was no love between Helen and her mother-in-law. Alma's presence in the Westfield house would have done nothing to help family dynamics.
By late 1971, failing financially and professionally, it has all just become too much for List. On Tuesday, the 9th of November, John List decides to send the whole family to heaven before things can get any worse.
The summer fun means one thing. It's time to visibly say goodbye to crow's feet, fine lines, wrinkles, and under-eye bags, and say hello to smooth, beautiful, younger-looking skin with Plexiderm. Plexiderm smooths away wrinkles without foundation, without color makeup, and without expensive procedures. Best of all, you could try it for only $14.95 this summer.
This isn't the first time I've been on TV raving about this product. It's amazing. My friends, my family, they can't believe it. Nothing works like this.
I've had under-eye bags for a very long time, and it sucks. Finally, I tried something called Plexiderm. I put it on my face, and I'm not joking. It works.
So take action this summer and pack up your under-eye bags and wrinkles and put them on vacation with Plexiderm. Try our summertime special and get it for only $14.95, plus get free shipping. Visit plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
As you get older, your liver health becomes an increasingly important part of the aging process. We created Dose for your liver to make taking care of your liver easy. Dose is an organic blend of liver-supporting ingredients and is clinically backed to promote healthy liver function so that nothing's holding you back.
Dr. J, are you a real doctor?
I save seniors from painful, overpriced cell phone bills.
How?
I get them to switch to Freedom Pop, a America's #1 cell service for seniors.
Just $10 a month for unlimited talk and text. Freedom Pop, America's #1 cell service for seniors.
Summer in Britain. It's a very beautiful, magical place.
Sorry?
Glorious weather.
What's the extent of the flooding?
Historical landmarks.
If you want to get rid of a body, you don't leave it in tourist attraction in the middle of summer.
And friendly people.
I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
Stream the best of British crime drama on BritBox.
I was never able to find a bra that fit my small chest. Every bra gave me gaps or made me feel like I wasn't enough. It was something society taught us to be embarrassed about. Small-chested women deserve better. So I designed a bra that finally fits AA to B cups perfectly, and a brand that empowers women to celebrate their bodies exactly as they are. No more cup gaps or looking 2 sizes bigger. It's not your body that has to change, it's the industry. Meet Pepper, the bras that actually fit small boobs. Check us out at wearpepper.com.
Stay tuned to save $10 on the amazing socket fan light from Bell & Howell.
When you're hot, nothing feels better than the gentle cooling breeze of a ceiling fan, right? The problem is you're going to spend hundreds of dollars on the fan and just as much to have it installed. Not anymore. This is the revolutionary socket fan by Bell & Howell. The amazing 2-in-1 ceiling fan and light literally takes 10 seconds to install. Let me show you. If you can screw in a light bulb, you can hang the socket fan light. Is that easy or is that easy? Socket fan comes with this handy remote. You've got 3 light settings and 3 fan settings with a push of a button. You can control the light and the breeze that you need. Socket fan fits any standard light socket. And if you have deep recessed lights, just use the socket extender. Closets and bathrooms can be stuffy and smelly, but socket fan constantly circulates and refreshes the air all around you. If you want a ceiling fan and light installed, well, then you need a professional contractor. Or you can do it yourself and install socket fan in less than 10 seconds. So easy. Socket fan delivers portable, powerful, cool, refreshing air and bright light wherever and whenever you need it.
And now, the socket fan light with a deep socket extender is yours for $59.95. Act now, and we'll take $10 off. So you get it for just $49.95 with free shipping. Order now, and you can get a second fan for 50% off. And the shipping is free. And when you order, learn how to get the contractor's discount on the family-sized socket fan set.
Get cool fast with socket fan. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-647-8024. That number again is 1-800-647-8024. Go to buysocketfan.com. So call 1-800-647-8024. That's 1-800-647-8024. Or order online at buysocketfan.com.
Poshmark is the perfect side hustle. It got me through school, a new job, and getting into my first apartment. There's so much I can sell. Bags, accessories, home decor, and it's so easy to sell on Poshmark. You can do it in a minute. I love it.
Here's why you should switch from Google to DuckDuckGo on all your devices. DuckDuckGo comes with a built-in search engine like Google, but it's private and doesn't spy on your searches. And DuckDuckGo lets you browse like Chrome, but it blocks cookies and creepy ads that follow you around from Google and other companies. And there's no catch. It's free. We make money from ads, but they don't follow you around. Join the millions of people taking back their privacy by downloading DuckDuckGo on all your devices today.
What happens in Vegas stays. Not anymore. Play Quick Hit Slots, the free-to-play mobile slots game that everyone is playing from coast to coast. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
Coming up next on True Crime Network.
Helen List and her 3 children are laid to rest on December 11th, 1971. 1 month and 4 days after her husband, John List, shot each of them and dragged their bodies into the ballroom of their deteriorating mansion.
When List's car is discovered in the parking lot of John Candy Airport, an international warrant is issued for his arrest.
A week after the bodies are discovered, List is indicted on murder charges by a Union County grand jury.
For weeks, Westfield police pursued pursue all the local leads until they've exhausted everyone. Despite the fact they know who committed the murders, the case will remain unsolved unless List is found. The FBI have joined the investigation. By the summer of 1972, hundreds of leads have been checked, but Westfield Police Chief James Moran describes them as just a lot of dead ends. People think they've seen him in just about every state, from New York to California.
Authorities have checked the passenger rolls of all ships leaving New York around the time of List's disappearance. Union County Prosecutor Carl Ash notes that List has the money to travel for a long time.
Police Chief James Moran strongly believes he's still alive. You don't plan an escape like that, then do yourself in. In spite of the time that has lapsed since the investigation began, Moran is convinced that List will eventually be captured. I believe that the way he's going to be caught is that somebody's going to see him and remember him. The passing of time doesn't make it any less probable. Assistant County Prosecutor Michael Mitzner is less optimistic. As time passes, the general public forgets what he looks like, and he has more time to cover his tracks.
The media keep the story alive, publishing stories on the anniversaries of the murders, hoping someone will come forward with new information.
Wherever John List is, he is still escaping detection. When Westfield Police Chief James Moran is set to retire in December 1986, he has never stopped carrying a wanted poster of List in his pocket.
It's been 15 years now since the murders. Over the years, the FBI has had over 20 agents working on the case. There have been List sightings everywhere from the Midwest to East Germany.
Ed Johnson, the 5th Union County prosecutor to work on the case, firmly believes List has a new identity. Johnson is focused on List's religious convictions, what he calls the warped sense of Christianity that allowed the one-time Sunday school teacher to commit the meticulously planned crime.
Based on a letter List left behind, Johnson thinks List believed he was saving his children by killing them.
In List's view, their extra years of life wouldn't have mattered. This is what allowed him to live with the crime. Ed Johnson, Union County Prosecutor.
The prosecutor's office sends out a circular to hundreds of Lutheran churches that show a sketch of List as he would look now at the age of 61.
Fast forward to January 1989. It's nearly 18 years since the Westfield murders. Frank Maranka of the Union County Prosecutor's Homicide Unit contacts the producers of the TV show America's Most Wanted.
The hope is that if the show does an episode on the List murders, someone in the viewing audience might phone in a tip.
There's just one problem. At the end of each episode, a photo of the wanted person is shown. But the most recent photo of List is several years old. What would he look like in 1989?
The show's host, John Walsh, had encountered the science of forensic sculpting a few years earlier when he met forensic reconstruction artist Frank Bender.
America's Most Wanted asks Bender to add 18 years to List's face.
Bender gets to work, studying old family photos and gathering information about List's hereditary traits and past eating and drinking habits.
He also learns that List has a surgical scar underneath his right ear. He researches what that scar would look like 18 years later.
Bender likes to try to get inside the mind of his subjects. He teams up with forensic psychologist Richard Walter to get a better understanding of who or what John List is.
Bender then fashions a bust from clay that shows List wearing a conservative suit and tie, the clothes people are most likely to see him in. He gives List a receding hairline, a mouth turned down at the corners, sagging jowls, and a scar beneath his right ear.
Bender believes that eyeglasses are a key component to representing an aging John List.
He thinks List would favor glasses that give him an air of authority and importance, the opposite of failure.
After looking at dozens of pairs of glasses, Bender chooses a pair of dark, heavy frames. His sculpture of List is seen by 22 million people on the Sunday, May 21st broadcast of America's Most Wanted.
The result is uncanny. Bender's sculpture is a phenomenal representation of an aging John List.
Studio's phone bank receives 125 calls within 2 hours.
Westfield Police Detective Lieutenant Bernard Tracy, who helped America's Most Wanted develop and film the episode, is present in the TV studio on the night. He believes there's only one call that really counts. Detective Lieutenant Bernard Tracy. In Aurora, Colorado, 15 miles east of Denver, Wanda Flannery and her daughter watch the broadcast. She asks her son-in-law to call the televised number for reporting tips. She has some information for them about a man named Robert Clark.
At drivetime.com, we've been hard at work, and we finally did it.
Did you make it so I can finally shop at thousands of cars with no hit to my credit?
Wait, yes! Go to drivetime.com, get approved with no credit hit.
Go to drivetime.com, get approved, and shop your real terms with no credit hit.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
They're called Dynasty hammock underwear. Soft, sweat-wicking, breathable underwear with a supportive pouch built in. You don't realize you need new underwear until you try these. Love your first pair or they're free. Upgrade to hammock underwear at Dynasty.com.
Summer's burning heat is here. And for many animals, help can't come fast enough.
These animals are suffering from rays of sun that they can't escape. They don't have access to any shelter or shade. They're licking the bottom of bowls that have been dry for days. These animals are dying from heat.
For many animals across the country right now, the suffering is excruciating and time is running out.
There are animals wasting away under the hot sun. No access to shelter, no access to fresh water. They are suffering.
Will you help an animal who's suffering in the burning sun right now? Visit this website, call or scan the code on your screen. Your gift of just $19 a month can be the difference between life and death for an animal this summer.
There are situations in which an animal will lay down and they will give up because that honestly is their better escape from this reality.
And that's why we can't give up and why we need you right this minute before it's too late. 63 cents a day will provide shelter, water, and loving care to an animal who may not survive much longer. Say yes to pulling an animal out of the burning heat today. Join with your monthly gift in the next 5 minutes, and we'll send you this welcome kit and one-of-a-kind t-shirt.
We know it's our responsibility to give them that shelter as soon as possible, to get them that water, to give them that chance to survive.
So please don't wait another second. Help rescue an animal today. Go online, call, or scan right now.
It wasn't always like this. Dryness made sex painful and awkward. But Reverie's vaginal moisturizer brought back the spark. Thousands of women have restored their vaginal moisture. Join them at Reverie.com.
He managed to get me to care about him.
Go inside a riveting real-life courtroom drama.
He had my whole life wrapped up.
Next Dateline.
On the 9th of November, 1971, John List methodically shot his family in cold blood in their Westfield, New Jersey home.
His His car was found at John F. Kennedy International Airport a month later. He has eluded authorities ever since.
On the evening of Sunday, May 21st, 1989, 22 million television viewers watched the story of the List murders on America's Most Wanted.
A bust created by forensic sculptor Frank Bender is featured on the program, showing John List as how he might look in his mid-60s.
Wanda Flannery in Aurora, Colorado, recognizes the man who used to be her neighbor. He was an accountant and a churchgoer, and married to her friend Dolores. His name was Robert Clark.
She tells authorities that the Clarks moved east to Richmond, Virginia 2 years earlier.
The America's Most Wanted broadcast isn't the first time that Wanda suspects that Robert Clark is a wanted man.
An avid reader of supermarket tabloids, she pointed out a story about John List to Dolores 2 years earlier.
But Dolores refuses to believe that her husband, Bob, could be a fugitive mass murderer.
On Friday, May 26th, 5 days after the America's Most Wanted episode airs, FBI Special Agent Kevin August receives Wanda Flannery's tip.
After the Memorial Day weekend, on June 1st, he drives 25 miles from his downtown office to the Richmond suburb of Midlothian.
In their modest bungalow in the planned community of Brandermill in Midlothian, Kevin August finds Dolores Clark home alone. He shows her a wanted poster that features an 18-year-old sketch of John List.
Her hands begin to tremble. She goes to another room, comes back with her 1985 wedding photo.
August is stunned. There's no question, Robert Clark and John List are one and the same person.
On November 10th, 1971, List walks away from the carnage in his 19-room mansion and drives to John F. Kennedy International Airport, where he leaves his car and takes a bus into New York City.
He then travels overland to Denver, Colorado, surfacing there in 1973 as Robert Peter Clark.
He gets a new social security number. He finds a job as a fry cook at a hotel and gets a job as an accountant at H&R Block.
All the while, he remains active in the Lutheran Church, joining a congregation.
In 1977, List, as Robert P. Clark, meets a widow named Dolores Miller at a church function. He marries her in 1985, and they remain in Colorado until February 1988, when they move to Richmond, Virginia. On June 1st, 1989, 9 days after the America's Most Wanted episode airs, FBI agents walk into the Richmond accounting firm where Robert Clark works. He refuses to acknowledge he is John List. Nevertheless, he goes quietly with the agents.
Amazingly, the glasses he's wearing are virtually identical to the ones forensic sculptor Frank Bender chose for his bust of List.
At the police station, fingerprinting confirms that Robert Clark and John List are the same person. And Clark has a scar below his right ear.
Clark's prints match those on a gun permit application List had filled out a month before the murders.
A month after his arrest, List is transported from Virginia back to New Jersey. Still refusing to identify himself as John List, he signs the extradition document as Robert Clark.
List may have clung to his deceptive tragedies for so long that by now he finds it impossible to let his guard down. Or he might hope he can deceive the police about his identity.
On July 9th, 1989, John List is arraigned in a New Jersey courtroom for the murders of his mother, his wife, and his 3 children.
He pleads not guilty. His bail is set at $5 million. His trial date is set for December 4th.
He's incarcerated in Union County Jail in Elizabeth, New Jersey, a few towns east of Westfield, while he awaits the start of his trial. Sometime after his arrest, List is examined by psychiatrist Dr. Stephen Simring. Simring reported that List showed no evidence of anything that approached genuine remorse. He's a cold, cold man, psychiatrist Dr. Stephen Simring. At the pre-trial hearing, List's letter to Pastor Raywinkle is released after the Superior Court judge allows it as evidence, denying a motion by the defense that the document is protected by the priest-penitent privilege. The whole story is about to become public.
We're told in Genesis chapter 1:26 that God has made man in his image, and by his likeness has he made him.
Genesis is a book of fundamental importance for the Jewish and Christian faiths, and a literary masterpiece that has profoundly shaped Western civilization. Now, in this exclusive online course from Hillsdale College, you can deepen your understanding of how this ancient book is essential to you today. Sign up for the Genesis story, absolutely free, at learnfromhillsdale.org. Dr. Justin Jackson, a distinguished Hillsdale College professor, will guide you through this fascinating free online course that unfolds the biblical stories of Adam and Eve, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. When you sign up, you'll explore some of life's most important questions, gain a greater appreciation for how the Bible confronts pain and hardship with redemption and hope, and discover how the struggles people faced thousands of years ago are deeply relevant to us still today. Take this 6-lesson course whenever it's most convenient for you, at your pace or in your schedule. Signing up is easy and free when you go to learnfromhillsdale.org today.
So the fun thing with the serpent is, how does the serpent talk? What, and not only that, but why is the serpent's punishment to crawl on its belly when that's what it does?
Join the hundreds of thousands of Americans who are enriching their lives through this exclusive online course from Hillsdale College and gain access to this premium content today.
Well, what I hope you'll get from studying Genesis in this course is a deeper appreciation of the biblical insights with regards to the human person, psychology, our predilection towards rivalry, but also reconciliation.
Sign up for the Genesis story, free of charge, at learnfromhillsdale.org today.
At Consumer Cellular, we pride ourselves on giving you fast, reliable, nationwide coverage at up to half the cost of the leading carriers. But don't worry, we've got more than that going for us. Like this beautiful store in Arizona, for example. It's the perfect place for me to tell you a little bit more about our phones and how they can become your phones. You name it, we probably got it. We have the top smartphones from all the major companies. If it's state-of-the-art cameras you want, we got them. If you want a smartphone with lots of bells and whistles but won't break the bank, we've got that too. We even have a flip phone, like the Iris Flip. We even have watches. I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have one of these amazing stores in my town yet? Can I get these phones sent to me?
Yes, you can.
Is it easy?
Easy as pie.
New customers who buy any phone get 2 months of service free when they sign up by July 31st. Call 800-918-5494 or visit consumercellular.com to switch today.
She knows what she's talking about. Pick up the phone.
When you step into a Warby Parker store, you're immediately met by, well, glasses. But there's more than meets the eye. Like contact lenses, we carry all the top brands. And friendly doctors who perform top-notch eye exams. And expert advisors who can help you find the perfect pair. All at affordable prices, like prescription glasses starting at $95 affordable. Visit one of our hundreds of stores around the country. Chances are there's one near you.
If you're over 50 and can't work due to physical or mental health problems, you may be entitled to Social Security disability. Call Disability Help today. If you can't regularly lift over 10 pounds, or if you can't stand all day long, you may be eligible for disability benefits. Disability Help today connects Social Security disability applicants just like you with representatives nationwide. Call now.
1 second, Grandma. This guy's gonna buy my car.
Okay, you need Carvana. Entering plate number, no accidents, right?
No.
Generating offer. Carvana can pick it up tomorrow.
That's an amazing offer.
Sell your car the easy way with Carvana.
I need Q1 full index reports by desk by noon, complete with comprehensive data. Are you getting any insights? Charles.
Yep, Honor's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
One by morning. Got it.
Got it, boss. Honor, you got this.
9 days after the America's Most Wanted episode airs, John List is arrested at the accounting office where he works. He maintains he is Robert P. Clark. At his trial, List's defense lawyers argue that he suffers from PTSD as a result of his service in both the Second World War and the Korean War. December 4th, 1989.
Psychologists called by the defense suggest List was going through a midlife crisis. For his part, List claims he was innocent because of his mental state at the time.
As the trial progresses, the details about the events of that fateful day in November 1971 and the order in which they took place become known. On the morning of Tuesday, November 9th, List takes the two handguns out to his car to load them, then comes back into the house.
He shoots his wife in the head while she sits at the kitchen table drinking her morning coffee.
He places her body on a sleeping bag and drags it into the ballroom. Then he cleans up the blood in the kitchen. He doesn't want the children to see it when they arrive home from school later in the day.
He climbs the 2 flights of stairs to the top floor, shoots his mother Alma in the head, and drags her body on a carpet runner into the hallway.
In his letter to Raywinkle, he explained she was too heavy to move, presumably referring to why she wasn't placed with the others in the ballroom.
Then he goes out to the post office to stop the family's mail. At the bank, he cashes in $2,100 worth of his mother's savings bonds. Returning home, he makes himself a sandwich. It's lunchtime. He's hungry. He writes notes to the children's schools, letting authorities know that the family will be away on holiday for a few weeks in North Carolina, and asking for Patricia, Frederick, and John to be excused from classes. Patricia is the first to arrive home from school that day. He shoots her while she still has her coat on. Youngest son Frederick arrives home next and meets the same fate.
Each of them is shot in the head, either with the 9mm pistol he had bought as a souvenir of World War II or the .22 caliber target pistol.
But when eldest son John, his favorite and his namesake, arrives home, List has an unexpected fight on his hands.
Whether John Jr. struggles with his father or makes an attempt to escape, List ends up firing 10 slugs into the boy's head and chest using both guns.
As evening approaches, John List sits at the desk, composing a 5-page letter to the pastor of his church, the one man whom he feels would be able to understand his plight.
As a confessional document, List needs to get his thoughts down on paper. It may be an attempt to justify what he'd done, or he may actually believe he can earn some leniency with authorities if they can catch up with him.
In it, he says he hopes that one day God will forgive him and he'll be able to join his family in heaven. That night, John List sleeps in the house in which he'd slain his family and laid their bodies out in the ballroom. The next morning, he turns on the lights throughout the mansion, lowers the thermostat to keep the house cool, and tunes the radio to a religious music station, piping music throughout the house over the intercom system. Then, he walks out the door.
The house would burn down a few months later. The cause of the fire is never determined.
At his sentencing hearing, List denies direct responsibility for his actions, telling the court, "I feel that because of my mental state at the time, I was unaccountable for what happened."
The judge is not persuaded, saying John Emil List is without remorse and without honor.
He hands down the maximum allowed penalty, 5 terms of life imprisonment to be served consecutively.
In 2002, List gives newswoman Connie Chung a lengthy interview from New Jersey State Prison, where he is serving his time. He is 76 years old.
This will be the first time he's spoken publicly about what he had done.
Of the lead up to the tragedy, List tells her he felt like he was letting his family down. I grew up with the idea that you should provide for your family, and to do that, you had to be a success in the job that you had, or you're a failure. And that was not a good thing to be, John List. About his logic at the time, he tells Chung, "It was my belief that if you kill yourself, you won't go to heaven. So eventually I got to the point where I felt I could kill them. Hopefully, they would go to heaven, and then maybe I would have a chance to later confess my sins to God and get forgiveness. It's just like D-Day. You go in, there's no stopping after you start." John List. 6 years after his interview with Connie Chung, List is taken ill in 2008 with severe pneumonia and transferred to St. Francis Medical Center in Trenton. He dies 4 days later, on March 21st.
Complications cause a massive blood clot, blocking blood vessels in both lungs.
4 days later, no one has stepped forward to claim the body. Attempts to reach Dolores Clark are unsuccessful.
John List managed to evade the authorities for 17 years, despite the exhaustive efforts of investigators nationwide. The case might have remained unsolved, were it not for the artistry of a gifted forensic sculptor and a neighbor who felt compelled to make a phone call.
Dateline.